aligned with the education sector, tasked with informing and preparing our youth for the most current and emerging issues and career paths in the world, is certainly a staple of our educational philosophy. We're excited to welcome you to see all of the amazing things that our students are learning and investigating here as part of their education. And we believe that through experiential learning within ag education, that these students are developing the skills that are necessary to be competitive in an emerging global market. Shortly, you'll see their hands-on investigations in the barn behind me, in the greenhouse, in the classroom, in the Ag Wet Lab, and the Ag Library, and we encourage you, after this presentation, to ask the students questions and learn from their leadership and their educational abilities. So with that, I will turn over the microphone to Secretary Redding for the rest of the program.
Great, Adam, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It is good to see you. It is good to be back at Conrad Weiser. This is an amazing day. It is an amazing school and district. And as I drive out 422, this is an amazing county. It is one of those sort of beautiful spots in Pennsylvania and so productive. We were here just last week as a guest of the Conservation District and had a chance to sort of tour the county and look at projects. And what stood out to me is you've got these multi-generational farms. At the same time, you go down into the urban centers, you've got urban gardens and these plots, food processors. And, it's home to organic research and agriculture here, both in the state and the nation. It's just an amazing place. So it is good to be here, and I'm always impressed, by the way. So the reason we're back is when we were here 4 years ago, and of course the world has changed in so many ways, but what has not changed is our expectations on agriculture, our expectations on the food system, and our expectations for this industry to solve some of the most pressing issues of our time. That has not changed. So come back to Conrad Weiser, to be inspired in so many ways, to look at what you do here. You understand the integration of agriculture with science and research. It's really the foundation of your academic program. And further, you understand that to have a vibrant program is not simply about the academic offering, it's the relationship to the community, right? And those that you work with, and your board and administrators and teams that are here. So thank you for that. But there's an expectation of your school district, I'm sure, that this school is going to produce great students and respond to the workforce needs of today and to the future, and you do that incredibly well. I could not think of a better backdrop to talk about education, certainly ag education, the excellence of that, than here at Conrad Weiser. In fact, anything that had the word excellence in the title, we should be here to be part of this discussion. So thank you for all that you do. Just a little background, as we began some years ago to think about the pressures that are on this industry, the way that it's changing, the societal trends that are driving so much of our community and the industry. We also recognize that the ag education programs around the state have got to respond to that, right? They've got to respond to the expectations we have as consumers, as citizens of this state and the region. We also recognize that that is not solely held by a single department of education, which we'll hear from in a moment. It is a collective responsibility, and that is what the governor's vision laid out 8 years ago, but in a serious way around this topic around 4 years ago, to make sure that we were integrating that just as you're integrating science and research in ag into your curriculum, that we were integrating across the cabinet. And it was really recognizing that we have an opportunity in this industry that has a lot of expectations on it to solve some of the most important pressing issues of our time. They are around food and the workforce and the environment. They are creating jobs and economic impact. And how do we do that? And we have great programs around the state, ag education programs, but we need to make sure that we support them and build them and grow them. It was that connected to the expectations on agriculture that combined to create the Commission for Agriculture Education Excellence. And we're here today to release the 21-22 report, which our executive director will talk about in a moment. But it was a concept that was conceived some years ago by the governor and the General Assembly in Pennsylvania. They both recognized that there was a need to focus on ag education and agriculture. It was wanting to make sure that it wasn't simply a discussion about the past, but one of the future. And that became the work of the Commission, which coincided with the work that we were doing with the Fox School of Business in the Ag Impact Study in Pennsylvania, which showed that 18% of Pennsylvania's gross state product is food and agriculture. It's 590,000 jobs. It's 18% of the gross state product and about $132 billion a year. So significant piece of Pennsylvania economy and industry. So this 15-member commission was formed. It is appropriately co-chaired by two departments, myself, as Secretary of Agriculture, and Secretary Hagarty with the Department of Education, and that was intentional, to find this equilibrium between the education and the agriculture, just as we've done in some other commissions in Pennsylvania. But it was all in an effort to strengthen agriculture, education, and grow agriculture in the state of Pennsylvania. And in that work, it is important to note that just as this county is diverse, the programs around Pennsylvania are equally as diverse. They reflect the local economies. So if you are in Erie and parts northwest and the northern tier, they look like those regions. They look like it both in terms of production, agriculture, but they also look like the expectations of the employer community there as well. And this commission has worked over the last several years to really focus in on supporting and growing the ag education programs in Pennsylvania, and doing that with a cross-disciplinary group of commission members that make up the ag community, the ag education community, the science community as well. So that is all part of what is inside the work of the commission. But at the very core is recognizing that the scale of the workforce challenge continues to grow. Right? So you think about where we were 4 years ago and sort of the vision for the workforce and where it is today. You feel that as a district. You see that in your in the business community here in Berks County and around. So that has only continued to grow and intensify. And what is particularly nice today is to come to Conrad Weiser, where you understand that workforce, but you understand it both in the contemporary need and the future workforce needs. So it's not simply about responding to what the employers need today, it's the future look, and that is what I'm particularly proud of Conrad Weiser, and again, why we're here. So to the commission, that commission has gone through an evolution, much like the discussions we've had about the industry and education. We have, in the last year, put a particular emphasis on several things. One, having a full-time executive director, and I'm pleased that Stephon Fitzpatrick, who's here and you'll hear from, has joined us and said yes, to leading this commission. But with that is making sure that we are working in tandem with the Department of Education. It is making sure that we honor the work of the FFA here in the state, but also our 4-H community and that of Manners, which Stefan will talk about, and how we continue to grow both the substance and the critical educational aspects of ag education, but also recognize that there are leadership qualities and skills that we're also looking for. the soft skills, and we do that through these other entities as well. So Stefan can talk more about that, but I would say most critical is the development of a statewide plan to make sure that we are responding to what the legislation, the governor envisioned in agriculture and ag education, and doing that across the state and being sensitive to the diversity at the same time. Recognize we've got an obligation to produce the absolute best workforce in the state to compete, so that the students can compete, but also the businesses can compete as well. So with that, always pleased to stand with the Secretary of Education, Secretary Hagarty, today to release this report. So Secretary, welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Acting Secretary of Education Eric Hagarty. I'm happy to be here today at Conrad Weiser to highlight the important role that education plays in agriculture, but also the important role agriculture plays in education. I'm also not above bringing a prop to a press conference, so it's no coincidence that the symbol of education is an agricultural product. These are what children take to their teachers to thank them for everything they do to enrich their lives. And of course, Pennsylvania is one of the largest producers of apples in America. And Berks County, although not their largest commodity, is actually the fourth largest producer of apples in Pennsylvania. So I expect everyone, when you leave today, to stop by a local farm, buy some great Berks County apples, and give them to a teacher that means a lot to you. So thank you. Of course, it's clear that the scope of agriculture in the Commonwealth reaches far beyond these apples. Agriculture is everywhere and everything around us, from the food we eat to the clothes we wear, the furniture we sit on, the office supplies we use. Most everything we use is an agricultural commodity. Because of that, there are countless career opportunities available in this ever-expanding and evolving field. One of the best ways we can prepare today's students for tomorrow's careers is by bringing high-quality learning experiences into the classroom. The Commission for Agricultural Education Excellence is committed to growing these opportunities so that learners across the Commonwealth, no matter which city or town they call home, can access them. I'm proud of the partnerships we've formed both with our sister agencies and our valued partners to provide that access and elevate the work of our excellent educators. From hydroponics to animal care, urban gardens to FFA, Pennsylvania's agricultural education programs are preparing students for their future, whether they choose college or career right off the bat. We are committed to supporting these students as they continue on their educational journey and go on to contribute to Pennsylvania's thriving ag industry. With that, I'm happy to turn over the podium to one of the great leaders and driving forces of this work, colleague and friend, Executive Director of the Commission, Stephon Fitzpatrick.
All right, good afternoon. Again, Stephon Fitzpatrick, and before I get started, I want to first say thank you to the secretaries, and especially Secretary Redding. He made it easy to say yes when we talk about the engagement of the work that we're trying to do to support ag education in Pennsylvania. I first want to say thank you to my commission members, and some of them are present. Mike Brammer with Pennsylvania State FFA, Gary Swan, who represents the business sector for ag, Chris Davis, who's been a powerhouse with regards to being our new ag education specialist, and Sarah Gligora with workforce for PDA. These are just a few of the 15 members and various stakeholders that have been able to come into this space to help us advance ag education in the state. I've only been in this role a year, and I can honestly say what a year it has been. We've been fortunate to make some amazing changes, and just announcing this report that I'm excited to share with you all, which really tells the story of what ag education is. When I came into this role, I have this mantra of agriculture is a people business. And so when you've connected with Secretary Redding and Secretary Hagarty and former Secretary Noe Ortega, we wanted to create an ag for all perspective. And so this report truly tells that story from an ag for all perspective. I represent that population of students that access to this information was not made available. And so to be at this platform to help create and develop these programs has not only been impactful for the state, state, but keeps letting me know that the work I do is relevant and it is important. In 2017, when the commission was created, there were 131 approved programs. Since then, we have built up to 178 programs, showing an increase of 47 new programs in the past 5 years. In addition, we currently have 5 new programs looking for approval this year. Our agriculture youth development programs have been critical to engaging and retaining the next generation of ag leaders as we grow and increase our chapters for FFA from 147 to 152, with a record number this year of over 14,500 state FFA members. With Pennsylvania 4-H, since last year, we saw an increase of over 1,086 members, up from 10,736 to now 11,822. Since coming into this role, we introduced MANNERS, which stands for Minorities in Agricultural, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences. This particular organization has dedicated and been focused to supporting the professional and leadership development of underrepresented students that are looking to engage in the ag industry. Since coming on board, we've always had Penn State and WB Saul, but we've added Delaware Valley University, and we've created 3 new junior manners chapters at the middle school level, and we've started off in Philadelphia and are looking to expand across the state. In this report, we highlight our 7 apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs that our workforce development specialist has been working diligently with LNI and our other stakeholders to help create these pipelines and transitions to the workforce. One thing I'm excited to announce is that in this work plan, in this report, you will see that the Commission has developed its own diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility plan. Again, agriculture for all. Every single person that is here today and that is watching, you cannot wake up without touching agriculture in some type of capacity. And so this report talks about those plans to support our LGBTQ communities, our diverse populations based on race, religions, creeds. At the end of the day, agriculture is for all. And lastly, I cannot stress this enough, our engagement through the Ag Education Commission has been focused in also supporting our teachers. The experiential learning component that comes with ag education is beneficial not just for our students, but our teachers. And so through this commission and through the work we've been doing over the past couple of years, we've been able to provide our teachers and educators with hands-on, updated leadership training so that they can better serve our students in the classroom. And so with that, thank you. I'm excited to be a part of the Pennsylvania family. I'm excited to work with these amazing group of people, and I'm looking forward to the work that we will continue to do together. So thank you.
And our last speaker today, as I previously mentioned, current senior at Conrad Weiser High School, Cami Gechter, with a little bit of her experiences with ag education here at the high school. Cami?
Hi everyone, my name's Camilla Gechter and I'm a senior here at Conrad Weiser, and I currently serve as a historian of our FFA chapter. I would like to take the time to say thank you for the opportunity to have me talk about my experiences and opportunities that the Ag Department has given me through the years. Because of FFA, my teachers' support, and my agriculture science courses, I am turning my interest in medicinal plants and horticulture into my future career. One influential opportunity was during my biotechnology class. We did a unit on tissue culture and I had a very high success rate. Mr. Seifert presented me with the opportunity to apply my tissue culture skills to a real-world problem. Working with the scientists from the PA Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, I collected 3 endangered nodding trillium plants from a nearby forest. I propagated the plants using tissue culture with the goal of returning the plants to increase the population. Another experience that I benefited from was the FFA prepared speaking event. For weeks I wrote, edited, and practiced my speech about the future of hemp in agriculture. With the help of Mr. Searfoss, I learned a lot about the topic and also became much more confident as a public speaker. The contest also helped me network. After the speaking competition was over, Lancaster Farming published an article about my speech, and I've met several people who are now mentoring my education. Currently, I am applying my knowledge and experiences at my internship with Almanac Planning Company. I wanted to do something that would give me real-world experience before college and help me see what my future with a plant business could be. My internship with Almanac includes helping in their greenhouses, where I help tend to hemp plants, propagate and plant new plants, and ship plants all over the country. All while I'm learning what it's like to run a horticulture business. Like many students, my agriculture courses and FFA helped me prepare for a career in the agriculture industry. We would like to invite you on a tour around our department to meet other students who are pursuing their passion and learning by doing. Secretary.
Yeah, we should have just started with you.
Probably.
Right? Yeah, amazing. Right? So the FFA experience, the public speaking, the research work, it's great to see. So thank you all for being here, and we're going to take that tour.
Yep.
Right? And look forward to that. Questions? If there are? Okay, if not, again, to the Conrad Weiser team, administrators, board, staff, teachers, all, thank you. We see the students here. We'll go inside and...
We'll actually start right behind you.
Okay, all right. So you want to give us the instruction?
Sure. So first and foremost, for any of you here, if you are thirsty, over to my left, your right, there is a tent here with some water. Please feel free to help yourself. What we're going to do is start out here by the barn. We're going to focus on some individual student projects. We'll move from outside to indoors over the next 45 minutes or so. So we encourage you to kind of tag along and learn from these students as they talk about their interesting research and investigations. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Well done. Good. Nice job.
I can just kind of stand out here. I mean, everything's pretty much inside.
We'll get Secretary Hagarty and Secretary Redding up here. But if you want to give some info here. We know Secretary Redding is no stranger to...
So this is my FFA SAE project. She was started last August when she was a calf. Now she is a bred heifer. She will have a calf in March. She's actually going to the Keystone International Livestock Exposition in 2 weeks. All of her awards are inside. It's been a really good experience. She's my first ever SAE experience, and she's a bred and owned. We have her mom at home. She's a really fundamental part of our program at home. This heifer here is actually the second overall heifer on the East Coast cattle circuit with all of her awards and points. So you guys will all see that inside. It's kind of filled, but yeah, she's a really influential part of our program here.
So explain what bred and owned.
So bred and owned means, yep, she was born on our farm last March, and she'll stay on our farm for pretty many years. Her and her mom are one of our most influential parts of our program. We have about 5 other cows. We're a smaller farm. I want to get bigger, obviously, and she's going to be a very influential part of me doing that.
That's awesome.
Cool. Nice job. So how
you.
did you get started in the FFA or the Ag Science?
I started Ag Science with her. I always wanted to be in part of it, and when the SAE projects came out, I entered her right away, and it's my ticket to school. It's pretty much my part. I always wanted to be a part of FFA. I grew up in 4-H, but FFA is definitely a big part.
And what are they judged on when you say
So she is judged on her breeding characteristics because she's a heifer. So her maternity, her femininity, that's pretty much the heifers. The steers are for obviously their meat. She's a bigger heifer because she's a beef cow. So the steers go for your meat, and she'll stay home and make everything, and then eventually she'll get out there, but she's staying home for now.
What are the future plans?
Like I said, she's going to be a really influential part. I want to take her and I'll keep breeding, and I want to have my own farm someday. Hopefully in Pennsylvania, keep running our family farm.
Not hopefully in Pennsylvania, definitely
in Pennsylvania, and keep running our family farm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Excellent. That's good. Thank you.
And we can actually circle around to the inside of the barn. The next animals we can't get a view of out here.
Yeah.
Oh. Come this way.
So this is a brand new project here, and two students in charge, Colton here in the yellow FFA shirt, and then Gannon on the left. These are two freshman students. They've been with me for a month, and they convinced me that this is a project they're interested in. So Colton and Gannon, if you want to tell the secretaries any of your thoughts or interests.
I'm Gannon Harlow. For our SAE project, we are raising bobwhite quail. We're going to be raising them for different purposes, such as maybe releasing them in the wild for hunting purposes, and also for meat or egg purposes. So.
Bobwhite quail kind of run in the family with me. My great uncle started off raising them, and he taught my dad about the bobwhite quail because he didn't know about them. And then he started my dad off, and then as I grew up, I always heard stories about these bobwhite quail, and like, oh, they were awesome. So I was always interested in them, and when I heard about the SAE project experience, I thought that I could finally take my interests in bobwhite quail and turn them into a project.
So how did you get to the Ag Science program, right? So what's the connection between the bobwhite and what you do here in the program?
So for the SAE, I was looking through, because at first I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was like, what am I going to do? It's another big school project. I want to make it a good one. And I stumbled upon the animal systems, SAE category. And when I was looking in there, I saw raising poultry. And then that's when I thought, well, poultry, bobwhite quail count as poultry, right? And then I talked to Stephon and slowly gained more people into my project.
And how old are these?
They're about 4 weeks old.
Wow, 4 weeks.
And they can fly. We got them in.
Yeah, they are chaotic.
How big do they get?
We do now.
Yeah,
not
you do
much
now.
bigger.
Not much bigger?
Like, probably about that big full grown.
Okay.
The males will start to develop white heads very soon. Like, actually, I think that one sitting right on the lower wooden thing is a male right there.
Very cool.
And this, to me, is one of the amazing aspects, if not the most amazing aspect of agricultural education. It's not just what I am interested in and what Mr. Seifert is interested in. We really do, across the state, try to focus on those student interests, their passions. Colton and Gannon happen to have an interest in quail. I've never raised quail before, so this is a learning experience for me and Mr. Seifert as well. But we can go on that journey together, focusing off of their interests. So it's not just preparing for a standardized test. He might be thinking about a career in the bobwhite quail industry, and maybe after this he says, no, definitely not. He's learned something extremely valuable there, whether he does or doesn't find his true passions.
And one of the things with these SAE projects, you're going to talk to a lot of students that will mention their SAE projects. A lot of them struggle at first because the assessment that we do at the end isn't really were they successful or not. We're looking to see, did they give a great effort? Have they learned something from it? Have they kept records? And so students really, like, they come to us again and again saying, well, like, what do I have to turn in at the end of this project? And it just doesn't work like that. It's the experience of doing it. And that makes it tricky for us to, how do you put a grade to that? But I mean, we love seeing this for 2 ninth graders to be doing something new 4 weeks into the school year.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
There's definitely something to be said about the journey and learning as someone who's got multi-year failed vegetable garden in my backyard. I screw something new up every year though, so I'm getting closer to learning how to do it. So
well, that was a great transition. We're gonna head over and share our program I call the Free. Good job, guys. Yeah, we can either go around the barn or through the barn.
Switched it up on us. Poultry, right? Except you're closest thing to get to the quail and poultry is good.
So this is kind of one of our newer ventures. So during the midst of the pandemic, we were meeting with our FFA officer team over Zoom and talking about ways that we could, just engage as a chapter, but also make a meaningful difference in our community. And some students had started. Gracie, you can come over here. Some students had started hearing about things called fridges, which are free food refrigerators. And so it came up as discussion. We thought it sounded like a great idea. And basically we thought as a chapter there's no better way to reach out and be a part of the community than to take our knowledge of agriculture and vegetable gardening and share it with the community. So this is the result of a grant from PA FFA Foundation, a match by our local FFA chapter. And so at this point what students are doing is raising vegetable crops in our greenhouse, in our raised beds. We have lots of plans for expanding. The flags are there. Picking it, harvesting it, and then getting it into this refrigerator, and then reaching out to the community and trying to, anyone in this community that needs access to fresh food, we want to provide it for them. So one small part of this is Gracie. She's also a ninth grader, so she's been with us for about 4 weeks, but she had a really interesting spin on it, and I would just want to let her explain what she's been doing.
Hello, I'm Gracie Bean. My SAE project is lemon balm tea. We had some in the garden. Originally, I had different ideas for the tea. I was going to do lavender or chamomile, but I had to make changes because you have to harvest certain parts of the flower from the plant, but they take a long time to bloom. I look forward to selling the tea, getting a permit to sell it, and I experimented with it, so you could either have it with or without sugar or honey. I have some bags without sugar and some with, so if you would like to take some, you could.
Yeah, so Gracie, go ahead and grab some. It smells amazing. So again, as a ninth grader, kind of limited in time, she took one of the crops that we had already had growing, an abundance of. We never really knew what to do with lemon balm, but she's dried it, turned it into herbal tea. She's run with it, made labels, so that's going to be part of the Frege offering.
It looks
and yeah, it's a great program.
Do you have community members using the?
Yeah, so this is a pretty recent, we just had a big construction project, so we're a little behind schedule when we wanted to roll it out, but we've had people come in to get produce. We're kind of transitioning between our summer crops and our fall crops, but we've had some donations already coming in at the bottom. People are dropping stuff off, and that's going to be the real challenge, I think, is getting the word out to get people in there, but we're excited. All the artwork was done by students and teachers in our art department as well, so another collaboration across different departments.
In the design of the program, so you've got a middle school.
You're going to see them, meet them in just a minute.
I don't ever put
Great, and they
sugar, honey, nothing.
stay the whole 4 years?
They can jump in and out. Yeah, there's no. So we have a 9th grade class.
I have
that
more.
a lot of our students take in a 10th grade class. But at that point, we encourage students to branch out and specialize.
With this process,
So
what is the
like
process?
Cami took the student that spoke earlier, took intro to ag,
It takes me about
and then
to make
kind of disappeared
the
for a year
6
or two.
bags.
And
It
then
needs
she's come
to
back in
be
the junior and
half
senior
of them.
kind of
I had a friend help me
and
open a
we're
couple of
pretty much okay with everything.
Kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's good.
How deep you want to see this stuff?
And I'm looking into.
I'm gonna let them continue talking. I think we're actually gonna go back around and in through the greenhouse this way.
Let's do it.
I'll let you take the lead, Mr. Steve.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good.
Great, I know.
It's fun to come to these things to learn what's happening in your own backyard.
Reporter.
Yeah.
Doing your job. Yeah, that's good.
It's gonna be lost secretary. You must like tea.
Yeah, he's getting his tea. So, good. Hello again. And what you guys are like, said hello earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're part of the tour too.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I'll let them get started. Secretary Hagarty can get in. So Brady and Finn are also 9th graders. We're 9th grade heavy at the beginning of the tour. And they have another interesting SAE project that really ties in with the food program. So I'll turn it over to them and let them
What's the secretary having?
Let's wait for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all, but I'll stand in the back.
You go in the back. Yeah, so I just wanted, this is Brady and Finn, they're 2 9th graders, and they have an SAE project which ties together the garden, the trees, and also research, but most of what you're going to hear the rest of the tour is more on the research end of the spectrum. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, so we're growing hot peppers, and over here we have like some mild peppers, and we get some of the hot ones over here.
Yeah, so basically we're just we're trying to crossbreed like really super hot peppers to make it even hotter, and then we plan to like make it into like a hot sauce. That's why we have like the more flavorful peppers, so it's not just heat to balance the hot sauce. So what we plan to do is chocolate Trinidad scorpion and the chocolate 7-pot pepper. We're going to crossbreed. We're going to attempt to crossbreed those, and if that's successful, we're going to again attempt to crossbreed the Carolina Reaper with that to make it even hotter and still have that like the chocolate purple color of these 2 peppers.
So we'll have to come up with a good warning system for if the food goes out.
Yeah, I'll try the tea. This I'm a little scared of.
Yeah, me too. I like hot peppers, but even the things that they're talking about are pretty hot. But we at least we wanted to have some students talk about this greenhouse. This is a small greenhouse, but it's been utilized for independent research projects. So like Adam said, students come to us with diverse interests, like super hot peppers, and we just want to provide resources and facilities for them.
How do you crossbreed?
So the most basic method which we're using is we'll use like a paper towel or just latex gloves, and we take the pollen off of one flower when it actually flowers, and put that pollen onto the other flower, so then both those like genes are transmitted to make a hot pepper.
What, live peppers?
What?
Live peppers.
I don't know. What is
So they're both taking our kind of standard 9th grade class, which is Introduction to Ag Science. But they're also taking a course that I teach called Innovative Science Research. And the idea is teach about experimental design, but also encourage students to think about their passions, interests, come up with a real world problem. I don't know if this is a problem that needs to be solved, but a creative idea.
There's certainly a market for
there is definitely a market for it. So they actually have their own projects. Been working on a project for possibly degrading plastics using fungi. And then Brady's working on a project with CPU computer cooling and efficiency. Both things outside my area of expertise. And then they just kind of came together and collaborated on this project.
So how did you come to ag? Were you in middle school ag program?
Yeah.
Finn's grandfather was actually Steve Miller, who was a former teacher here. So he was, I don't think he had a choice. Brady's avenue here might have been a little bit different. But.
Who was that?
His older sister. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. We're going to head right through that door into the classroom. Let us meet Basil. And then the middle school FFA chapter is going to do kind of a wildlife CSI demonstration. John, J-O-H-N. Secret S-I-E.